Okay, yeah, we are being recorded. So welcome everybody. How is everyone doing today? We have the chat open. Hope everyone is excited to get through this last week of classes, any finals you have, getting ready for any finals you may have. But I'm so happy that you can join us today, and thank you for taking a break from all that preparation for the end of the semester to learn about the McNair Scholars Program, which we will be opening up for recruitment for the next academic year in the fall. So you are ahead in learning about our program and all that it offers and its application process. So again, welcome. My name is Dr. Audra Hernandez, and I am the director of the UW-Madison McNair Scholars Program. Been in this position for about 2 years. My background is in astrophysics. I got my doctorate from the University of Florida, and I've been here at the University of Wisconsin for about 10 years. Sounds like a long time, both as a researcher and also as a program director. So today, the point of this informational is to overview the McNair Scholars Program, how it functions as a scholarship program, what we offer, and how to join. So before we officially get started on the details, let's start out with some introductions from our staff. We have 2 of our graduate mentors here today and 1 McNair Scholar. So we'll go ahead and start with C.
Hey everyone, my name is C. Nelson. My pronouns are they and them. I am the Social Sciences and Humanities Project Assistant for the McNair Scholars Program. I'm also a PhD student in the Department of Geography. I came to UW about a year ago. It doesn't feel like a year ago. And I went through the McNair Scholars Program at Marquette University with a focus on medical sociology.
Thank you, C. Mackenzie, would you like to go next?
Yes, please. So, good morning, or I should just say greetings, everybody, wherever you are. I am Cynthia Semeja. I go by Mapenzi Semeja, so don't get the two mixed up. I'm a PhD student in curriculum and instructions with a focus on curriculum studies, gender, and sexualities, and also a PhD student in the African Cultural Studies Department. I minor in gender, women studies, and visual cultural studies too. I've been here at UW. This is my 3rd year. I'm also a McNair alum from University of Washington, Seattle, whereby I completed my Bachelor's of Science in Public Health and Medical Geography. So here I work with mainly the students who are within the STEM fields in the McNair Scholars Program. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Lena?
Yeah. Hey, my name is Lena. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a McNair Scholar. I have been since the start of this semester. So yeah, I major in math, and so I work with Mackenzie. She's my program assistant, and it's great to have you all here.
Thank you, Lena. So since many of you are new to or just have heard of the McNair Scholars Program, let me just give you a little bit of background about us. We are officially known as the Ronald E. McNair Postbaccalaureate Achievement Program, and we are a federal TRIO program, so we're funded by the U.S. Department of Education. So the McNair Scholars Program is not an entity that just exists here at UW-Madison, but we're also a national program, and so there is a national network. And our main goal is to prepare low-income, first-generation, and underrepresented undergraduates for doctoral studies. And in doctoral studies, we focus mostly on the PhD and the educational doctorate. We are unable to solely serve those that are looking to pursue a professional degree, such as a law degree, medical degree. However, we have had many students who are interested in the dual track. So since we are focusing on students for, aiming for that PhD or the doctorate, one of the main pillars of our program is the undergraduate research experience. We are currently housed in the the central administration units on campus. So we're not part of a college. We are housed in what is known as the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Educational Achievement. We used to be housed in the graduate school, which is another central entity. So we have a lot of experience with a contact with the graduate school and communicate with them on, what are the best practices or current, what are they looking for in current graduate students. And in our unit, there were also 5 other scholarship programs that you may be aware of. Those are the POSSE programs, People Scholars, CO Scholars, the Marcel J. Lee program, scholarship program, which is the Chancellors and Power Knapp Scholars, and also the First Wave scholarship programs. So if you are currently in any of those programs, you are already known as a DDE, a scholar. And we'll get into a little bit details in a moment, but I do want to point out that we are not a tuition-based scholarship program. Our term scholarship refers to the scholarly activities that we provide our students. So we're looking for students who are aiming to go to graduate school, aiming to get an advanced degree, hopefully the PhD, and we offer them opportunities for mentor-based research, workshops, preparing both professionally, tackling the application process and research methods, as well as navigating graduate school, especially when you come from an underrepresented background. We have mentoring and academic counseling opportunities, access to cultural activities, and a lot of scholars come to us just for the community to be around like-minded students. Those are really serious about preparing for graduate school. So on that note, let me move forward in our presentation. So just a little bit of agenda. We already went through introductions. We will then move on to who is Ronald E. McNair, say a few words about that, overview our program, and then we'll go over what is required for our application, which will open up in the fall. And then we have Alina, who will tell us a little bit more about her experience here in McNair, and then we will open the floor for question and answers. So let's begin with who is Ronald E. McNair. C, I will hand it off to you.
Hi, y'all. So I'm really excited to share a little bit about Ronald E. McNair. I forgot to mention I'm a 2-time TRIO alum. So I went through Student Support Services, which is parallel with CEO at UW, through Marquette's program, the Educational Opportunities Program. So I'm really excited to share a little bit about Ronald E. McNair and his background. So Dr. McNair was an extraordinary person. He went through MIT and graduated at 26 years old with a PhD in laser physics. Unfortunately, he did die during the 1986 Challenger explosion. It went off the explosion took off a few minutes after the Challenger took off. And so in remembrance of Dr. McNair, Congress decided to create and fund a program in his name. So the Ronald E. McNair Scholars Program was founded in the 1980s. This kind of took heed when someone wanted to prioritize first-generation, low-income, and historically marginalized students going into higher education. And Ronald E. McNair was a person of interest to name the program after, since he was the first in his family to go on to graduate school, and he was an avid reader. There's actually a children's book written about him too, if you wanted to look into that. Since the founding in the late 80s, TRIO, the McNair Scholars Program, is across 187 institutions across the US and Puerto Rico, which is incredible. We'll talk a little bit later about the benefits, but McNair, being a McNair scholar, you're known nationwide, and that's really a privilege and something to take pride in. So thinking about how our services work, we think about how we can most support those who want to go into higher education. Like Audra said, we're primarily focusing on those who are aiming to earn a doctorate degree. And so having support for students who don't necessarily have like family that can support them through the graduate application process, or have the means to navigate what is research, why do I want to go into research. A little bit about my McNair past: I had an advisor in the TRIO program that I was in EOP, reach out to me during my EOP. I think it was the first year, and was like, you should go to grad school. And I was like, why do I want to go to graduate school? And he stayed on me, and I ended up applying to the McNair program. And I can't think of anything else I'd rather do in life other than research. And so I think that's one of the fantastic roles that Mackenzie and I can offer as advisors, is really supporting and nourishing that sort of approach and caring for students who go through the program, which I definitely think Ronald E. McNair received when he was going through graduate school and wanted to support students moving forward.
Thank you, C. So I'll take over for the next couple of slides to discuss the benefits of being a McNair Scholar. So we are looking to recruit students who are entering, like, so right now, well, the summer they'll be rising juniors, and then in the fall be junior status, have at least 60 credits under their belt. So they're kind of, you're accustomed to navigating the UW campus and kind of thinking ahead to post-graduation, and definitely have an interest in not only research, but pursuing a graduate degree. So some of the benefits that our training or activities offer is up to $2,800 per year in research stipend. So this would go directly to you. It's processed as a scholarship, so through the financial aid office. And this money is to help support you to carve time out of your schedule to focus on your individual research project. We can help our scholars find a research mentor. However, we do have students who do apply to the program with a research mentor. They've already have a research mentor and sometimes have a project already in the process. So we do get scholars at different levels of the research process. We also have opportunities for other faculty mentorship. Mentorship, of course, from their assigned graduate student who is currently in a PhD program. So very, right in the middle of the, their graduate career, to give great insight on how to navigate that. Graduate school assistant, application assistant, we have many workshops on how to first prep for the application process, including how to shop for the right program. Should you look at a master's program first? Should you look at a PhD program? What funding opportunities are there? How do you go about writing a statement? Are there different types of statements? All those nitty-gritty things that we don't necessarily think about beforehand. We're here to help you prepare for that and set you up with a timeline so that you can do everything efficiently. We do offer preparation. In fact, it's more like a boot camp style for the GRE, the Graduate Record Exam. This is a standardized test that unfortunately is still usually required for most graduate programs. It's starting to die down, but we still offer or want to offer a great comprehensive, just in-depth GRE training so that our scholars are well prepared to take that exam, even if only one graduate program requires it, that they're well prepared for it, to just get it out of the way and hand in those scores along with their application. So we actually, the last couple of years, have hired the Princeton Review and have a 7 to 10 week course during the summer for that preparation. And we're happy to provide that for our students. Also, research development. We not only talk about the application process, but our seminars also review how to grow as a researcher, how to learn about yourself, your identity as a researcher. What type of research questions are you interested in? What type of research methods could you be interested in? Doing research as a career, or just even part of your career. It'll be most of your career in graduate school, but you got to love what you do every day, and that includes how you're conducting research. And there's a lot of options out there. So we also help you grow as a researcher. Also, on top of the funds available for your research stipend, we have funds available for travel to research conferences so that you can present your research. We also have opportunities for you to apply for funds if you want to attend a professional conference, professional society conference. If you're not going to be presenting your work, but still say your mentor would like you to go, we want you to have that opportunity. We also have funds set aside to help scholars go to graduate school visits, learn about other graduate programs, especially in the Big Ten Alliance. So that you can go check out the graduate programs, meet with faculty, figure out, do you feel good on campus? Is this a place that you would like to go to for graduate school? We have funds set aside so that we can help you prepare for that. And then on top of that, when students are either interviewing or visiting campuses that they've applied to graduate school, so they get offers for interviews or visits, if that is not 100% covered by those programs, we have funds set aside so students can apply, and we can help make those visits happen. So what about the program requirements? What do you have to do, or what will be expected of you as a McNair Scholar? It can be quite extensive. We are looking for students who are ready to make an investment in their future, and that requires a lot of outside of your typical class work. We have semester seminars, about 6 to 7 seminars per semester. These are outside of class, so they're usually in the evening. When we are in person, they're a lot of fun because we come together, share a meal, hang out, and then get down to business, learning about topics we just discussed, graduate school or research. We like to bring in alum that are currently graduate students here at UW to talk about their experience. So get together quite a bit, almost bi-weekly during the semester. And then also we have a whole summer semester that is considered a semester. We have a whole 10-week summer program, and then we're meeting weekly. So that's quite intense, and that comes with stipend also. On top of that, we require our scholars to be meeting one-on-one with their assigned graduate mentor. Again, we want to make sure that you are progressing in your research, that you have the support system that you need. If you find that you're not having good communication with your research mentor, we want to know that so that we can help out. We can contact the mentor. We're here to help you navigate that. Also, you will be required to be conducting research under a UW-Madison affiliated researcher or faculty member, somebody at the PhD level affiliated here at the university. Undergraduate research, I should just say research in general, is kind of the defining element that is required to earn a PhD. Graduate schools are going to be looking for undergraduates or new graduates that have prior experience in the research field. So we want you to be engaging in research through your entire McNair career. So that's usually 10 hours on average per semester, the academics year, and then around 20 to 30 during that summer before your senior year. Maintain frequent contact with faculty mentors, so that goes along with your research and meeting with them as often as necessary to make progress on your research. Research presentations, we have multiple opportunities for students to present their research. It's not just about conducting research, it's learning to communicate your research, and not just to your research mentor, but to many different levels of the public and also your field. So we have our students present at the undergraduate symposium. You may have heard that just happened last month. Also, there are national McNair conferences. And of course, like I said, we have funds to send students to professional societies or other research conferences. We do require our students to take their research and put it into a semesterly due paper. That is the research paper. It'll start out small, 2-pager, and it will grow with you. And you'll be amazed on what you can accomplish by the time you graduate. Also, since we are prepping students for graduate school, we will require that you apply to graduate school at least 6 programs, which is on the low side. We expect you to be serious about applying to graduate school and want to begin your graduate career the preceding fall after graduation. Not a hard requirement, but that's what we're aiming for. To help this out, to help you out, applying to graduate school can be quite costly. It's very expensive. As a McNair Scholar, you will qualify for application waivers to most graduate programs. Most universities take well, first in the McNair Scholars Program, they know McNair Scholars, they offer waivers for McNair Scholars and actual TRIO alum in general when they're applying to graduate school. So we will lead you through that process if you become a McNair Scholar, and then participate in the 10-week summer research experience. So this is a summer program, that's summer semester. It is quite heavy. We expect you to be engaged in research. There's additional stipend. It will typically be your some of you that you're a rising senior, so before your last year, so right before you move into the fall to apply to graduate school. We do have some students that, due to credits, they enter the program early, and so they're actually with us for 2 summers. We only require that you do 1 summer with us, and then we would like to see you go to an external summer research program on the other summer. So just to give you an idea of how vast the network is for the McNair Scholars Program, every year the staff across the nation for McNair Scholars Program, so directors and student coordinators, come together at University of Central Florida. Sorry, I forgot that. In Orlando, which is nice to get away from Wisconsin for me. And we come together and talk about the best practices for preparing McNair Scholars for graduate school. And this here is just a visual of many of the McNair programs and schools that come to recruit from our directors while we're at that conference down in Orlando. It is a very large network. So know that when you are entering the McNair Scholars Program, you are not just entering a professional development or scholarship program here at UW. You are joining a national network. You do have, to show this picture, real people that are here to support you on your graduate journey, on your journey to graduate school. We have a pretty well used email list where everybody in this picture, we are in constant contact with each other, not just talking about best practices, but to talk about scholarship or fellowship opportunities, help each other out. This past week, mid-April was a deadline day for most graduates who are going on to graduate school to accept graduate school offers. We've had a lot of talk about what fellowships are out there. How can we help assist a student that got into, say, FIU? What's going on down there? Can we find them additional funding opportunities? Before the graduate application process, we're even talking about opportunities and ways we can better serve our students. We put our students in contact with these other directors, coordinators, who then can put them in contact to assistant deans or deans at universities if they have questions about what programs exist, what research opportunities exist, or can I just go out there and visit? We have the ability to do that because we are such a strong network. So know that if you are admitted to the McNair Scholars Program, it's not just here locally at UW-Madison, but it is a national network, and we are here to support you in getting into graduate school. And beyond that, McNair Scholars Program is only funded to serve undergraduates. However, since we are such a strong network, a lot of our graduate students stay in contact. And of course, we have 2 McNair alum here today as our McNair PAs. And we get a lot of visitors in our seminars from other alum here at UW. The McNair Scholars Program sets you up for a community, free for life. This will be a support network that will help guide you during your graduate school journey. Okay, application requirements. Mackenzie, would you like to go into this?
So I'm going to take you through the fun, exciting process if you've actually made up your mind that you're going to apply. So the basics that you should just know is that in order to apply, you have to fulfill these requirements on your screen. First of all, you either have to be a first generation and low income. Those two have to go together. So first generation means that you are the first one in the family to actually go to the level of higher ed, getting a bachelor's or even pursuing master's or a PhD degree. And low income, this one is based on, we have a scale that we look at that comes from the federal government. So at one point when you're applying, you'll see that Dr. Hernandez will ask you for your tax income so that we can just prove it if you fall into this category. The other category, if you do not fall into either first gen or low income, that we look for, you either have to be from an underrepresented group. That also is based on a criteria that we look at from the federal government. So the guidelines is just not, you might identify from coming from a URM background, but not all of it is accounted by the federal government, sadly. So you either have to be of Black or African American descent, or identify as Hispanic or Latino, or from the American indigenous populations. And I believe we do have Southeast Asian, if I'm not wrong, Dr. Hernandez, based on what we were looking at. Not all Asian Americans, but specifically, I believe that the guideline also looks at Southeast Asia, but that is a very tricky one that we have to navigate. So when you're applying, make sure you either fall into any of those two categories. And also we expect that you have a minimum GPA over 2.9, which I know can be hard for some, but also very easy for some of you all. So having a 2.9 is the minimum that we can look at. So if your GPA is not yet there, we just encourage you, pull up a little bit this spring as you're about to do your finals to actually hit that mark, or even go beyond that mark. And you should have at least earned 45 credits. So if you're going to apply, you should have completed already, have it under your belt, 45 credits. We also require that you must be a US citizen or a permanent resident, because we are federally funded, and based on federal regulations, we cannot just admit all people that we would have wished to work with. So we're a little bit struck on that. And so either US citizenship or permanent residency. And when you apply, we'll tell you which documentations that you'll have to show for either permanent residency if required. Next slide, please, Audra. So before that, kindly, on just application. And then, the other thing that we require is that when you apply to the program, make sure you at least have a whole 12 months so that you're able to be with us. This includes summer. So don't apply when you're in your senior year, when you're just about to graduate. This will be like in fall, I'm a senior who will graduate in spring. That would definitely not work for you. We need to be with you and work with you for at least 12 months minimum. There have been cases whereby we've stayed with our students for 2 years, which is fine. Like Dr. Hernandez has talked about before, whereby we'll have you for one summer, and one summer we'll encourage you to go do SROP programs or other summer research programs, so that you diversify your portfolio in terms of research and in terms of networking, and even thinking about grad school in general. So make sure you look at the requirements before you actually invest yourself into the application. We don't want to have situations whereby somebody has put this beautiful portfolio of an application, and then you're disqualified because you do not meet 2 or 3 or 1 of the major criteria that we look at, because that is so much labor and love that you put in, and we don't want to see it go to waste. So after you've looked at all the eligibility and you've seen that you do qualify, then we come to the exciting part of your application. So when you'll be applying, the applications are usually on the WISH scholarship board that is through UW Madison. So make sure you check it out, and there'll be emails out. That is where you find the applications. I'll do the next slide. So what we actually just require you to put together is the application itself, which entails you filling out just basic information about yourself, about your GPA, about your income and all that. That is just the first part of the application that you'll find on Wish, and you fully have to complete it to the best of your ability. Please don't leave any blanks or anything on it. It's hard for us to keep on emailing you back and forth. You didn't fill this one out. And maybe you're very busy and you cannot get back to us on time, and the applications are too many. So that might be a reason maybe for us not to look at your application critically. The other part is that you're required to have 2 letters of recommendation. We prefer that 1 letter comes from a faculty member who can actually speak to your abilities, not only as a student, but also as a potential future researcher, and also around your interests as somebody who's interested in pursuing graduate studies in the near future after you graduate. So make sure you get this and you're creating good rapport with your faculty right now. The other second letter can be from one of your advisors, but if you're able to get 2 letters from faculty members who can speak to this about yourself, that will be amazing. Also, the letter can also come from your PIs in the lab if you're already involved in any research. So you might have your PIs write you a letter and substitute the other with a faculty member that you've taken a class with or you have good rapport with. Next, you'll need a personal statement. And here is where you showcase who you are, because we are just going to look at that and put it together and say, do you move to the next round of applications, which is interviews? So this is where you showcase your talents, your abilities, your interests, your research and where you see yourself. So when you write this, remember to look at it as not even only a double weaving, but sort of a fractal and kaleidoscope sort of thing whereby you weave your life, what it means to be you. For example, me, Mapenzi, where I come from, and I'm weaving it with my research interests and my interest to go to grad school and what McNair would do for me if I'm accepted into the program. So that is a very good way to think of this personal statement. Kindly don't sweat about it. Don't write 5 pages. I know we have a limit, if I'm not wrong, between at most 3 pages, but we are looking at 2 pages. If you can express yourself in 2 pages, that is amazing. And that is all you need for the application. And don't forget to hit submit when you put all these things together. So the tentative timeline is that the application usually opens earlier on in September, and you have all that time to start filling in. This is a timeline that we're just using from last year, but the dates might change. So for acceptance, for you to start in spring of 2022, we'll have a different timeline. But this is just an overview of what you can use. So applications might open as early as September or even August, and you have all this time to work on it. Usually mid-September, mid-October, the applications are usually due. So looking at the calendar for this year, it might be October 15th, a Friday, or October 18th, a Monday. That is when the applications will be due. So when the application closes, kindly make sure you have everything in and your letters in from your letter writers. And then we usually take a week, 2 weeks at most to review all applications and see who actually qualifies and who moves into the next round of interviews. So the interviews there is where we'll ask you to submit your tax returns so that we can look at if you qualify for the low income or first gen and all that. So for this year, you'll be submitting your tax returns for 2020, not 2019 as the one for last year. And then lastly, you'll be hearing back from us by December 10th or 15th, between that week before you go for your Christmas break. And hopefully we'll be seeing you in January of 2022 to start working together. And I wish you success as you put your applications together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mapenzi. I should just say, I did update this slide, but I forgot to change the years, so I apologize for that. So the days are correct. And for applicants that get to the interview stage, we will collect the 2019 tax return. So federal aid requires us to look at the prior year tax return. So not the ones you filed this year, but the ones prior to that. So in the fall of 2021, coming up, we will ask for your 2019 tax returns. This will all be on the application directions that we'll put on Wish, so don't worry too much about it now. And during that time, we will also ask you for a first generation confirmation form that will need at least one parental signature or guardian signature. So those will, we'll give directions for that at due time. We know that the application can be quite extensive, so we do it in phases. And again, this will all be up on the Wish application, so sorry for the confusion. But as you see, it is a lengthy process. So that's why we like to hold these informationals now, and so that when the application opens up in the fall, you are ready to go. And we do anticipate bringing in more scholars or letting us new scholars know before the end of the semester in the fall, so that they can be fully admitted, like orientation. We have a pinning ceremony during the first week of the spring. But before we move on to question and answers, I want to showcase or announce a new program or partnership that the McNair Scholars Program is beginning to launch with the Center for Healthy Minds. The Center for Healthy Minds is a research facility affiliated with the University of Wisconsin. They are housed off campus, but many of their faculty researchers are in departments, professors here on campus. So we have been working on a partnership to help train graduate students from underrepresented backgrounds that are interested in research that is in line with the Center for Healthy Minds. So I'll just read off the purpose here. It is going to be a dual program. All scholars within the McNair CHM Scholars Program will be both McNair Scholars and CHM scholars. And this is for students that are interested in conducting effective neuroscience research and obtaining specialized professional development training at the Center for Healthy Minds. So the Center for Healthy Minds exists to cultivate well-being and relieve suffering through a scientific understanding of the mind. They have many different types of researchers at their center, and I would say most of theirs are quantitative research, but they do focus a lot on other research methods as well. The center draws from an understanding of neural and psychological processes, ancient wisdom, and contemplative practice to understand the mind in 4 areas of focus, and that is mind and brain and emotion, well-being in adults, well-being in infants and children, and learning well-being. So if you have any research interest in these areas, I highly recommend that you look into this opportunity. It is a very new development. It just got green lighted, so we don't have many details right now, but it'll come together over the summer, and during our fall application process, we will have an option in that application to check a box saying that you are interested in these types of studies, and you would then be matched with a CHM researcher or scientist or faculty member that is affiliated with the Center for Healthy Minds. Or if you are currently conducting research already in the Center for Healthy Minds, they do have a number of undergraduate opportunities already available there. You can apply to our program and still check that box and continue that research in the Center for Healthy Minds. But on the upside of being part of this dual program, this dual scholarship program, is that you will not only be a McNair scholar, you will be a CHM scholar, and that will provide additional opportunities for your professional development in those research areas. There will be extra workshops. You'll be eligible for an additional stipend, additional research stipend, additional funds to go to, say, conferences that are specific to these fields. And there will be opportunities to apply for additional research flex funds. So that's support costs for your actual research project or your mentor to conduct your study. So yeah, be on the lookout for this opportunity come the fall. Okay, so now we would have a McNair Scholars panel. Unfortunately, it is the last week of classes, so we have a lot of busy students, but I'd like to hand the mic to Lena, if you would like to kind of share a little bit about your experience so far in the McNair Scholars Program. I will go ahead and pin you.
Okay, yeah, so I also just want to first start with the fact that I I am also a CEO scholar. So that's actually how I started. And then I started that, I was in that program right since freshman year, and I'm still in there now. And through that process, I also kind of like what C was mentioning earlier, one of my mentors was like, hey, I think you should really consider graduate school. I think you should, this program like McNair seems like a really good fit for your background and what your interests are and your passions too. So I also attended the info session last summer, or not last summer, last spring. And so I am currently a junior. And so, yeah, I applied and I was definitely looking for research. And one of the problems that I was running into as an undergrad doing math was I could not find research in the math department. It was so hard. And I'm so thankful for McNair because I now am doing research at an undergrad level with like faculty in the math department, which is really hard to find, like shockingly hard. So I'm really, really appreciative of just the connections I was able to make and the fact that McNair allowed me to have a greater community. And I know like this year it's been hard with COVID, but thankfully because of McNair, I've been able to connect with even more people and learn from those that I usually wouldn't expect to learn from. And one of the greatest things about McNair is that it's got scholars representing so many different fields. So although I am primarily like I do STEM all the time, but being challenged to explain my work to those who aren't in my field is so valuable. That's like such an understatement. Yeah, so I've had a really good experience so far, and I'm so grateful that I'm, part of this and I can call this my community, and that like everyone's been so encouraging and pushing us forward and, reminding us when we doubt ourselves that you can do it. And yeah, someday you are going to get your PhD. So that's basically what it's been like for me for this past semester.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you for sharing that. We are now going to open up the floor for any questions and answers, either from myself, the director, or PAs, or Lena, one of our McNair scholars. We did have one question already come up from Pamela, who asked, do we need to be a junior to apply? So junior is kind of just the typical term we go with, because we are looking for students who have finished about 2 years of their undergraduate career and will be here another year once they're admitted before they graduate and go off to grad school. Additionally, we are looking for students who are able to participate during the summer. So if you're admitted at the beginning of the spring, you have the spring semester to find a mentor if you need to and set up your research project, get a well-developed research question, a plan for the summer, and then we really want our students to have the summer to engage, hopefully solely in research and then the graduate prep so that they can hit the ground running come the fall for the application process and deal with the last year of classes. So typically that leads for that year junior status, right? You're applying during the first semester of your junior year and then entering the second semester of your junior year. There's also a credit requirement federally that applicants must be that 14 credit hours that we mentioned. They need 45 credits to apply, but then come the summer, you need 60 credits. So we kind of navigate from here and there. So if you came into the university with a lot of credits and say you're technically a senior after, your second year, we will just, you definitely have enough credits to apply, but we will look at your graduation date. So we use the term junior kind of loosely, but it comes down to the credit hours you have, and we want to make sure that you're in the program long enough to get all of our services so that you're well prepared for the graduate application and for applying to grad school. So I hope that helps. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, Lena, you're still pinned. Just have Lena on spotlight. If you have any questions, go ahead, and we have a small group right now, so you are welcome to unmute yourself if you have a question. In between that, I'm going to put the McNair email address in the chat, along with the undergraduate coordinator at the Center for Healthy Minds. Her name is Jane Lambert. If you have any questions about the new program that will be opening up in the fall. So.
I don't mind taking this question. How competitive is the application process? It really depends on the year, to be frank, and I'm sure you get this a lot. As long as you submit everything that we're asking that's required of you, a lot of students in the past have submitted partial applications. And so if we have, I think this last time we had around maybe 30 applicants, 30 to 40 applicants. And because we had so many applicants, we only looked at who all had submitted the necessary material. So that's something to be mindful of. Through the application process, we do try and have a mix of both STEM and social sciences. And so I think in my purview and when we've reviewed applications, the thing that stands out for me the most is how transparent you are with your drive to do research, or how inquisitive you are and how dedicated you are to your potential research program, specifically directory, wherever you go. And so I would encourage you to emphasize that in your application process, especially in your personal statement. I think that really sets students apart from one another.
So we have also a question from Tia. For the first criteria, do you need to be a first generation and low income to qualify, or first generation or low income? So federally, we are required to serve 2/3 of our participants need to be first generation and low income. So they will be given priority. Typically, we are a very large campus, so we can, usually have no problem fulfilling that. If you are first generation or low income, you would fall into that underrepresented 1/3 category. So you're still eligible to apply to our program. And that is just what we're able to support on the federal side, because we are here at the UW-Madison and they see us as a valuable program. We are able to not really apply, but ask for funds to serve additional students. And they are, of course, McNair scholars, and it allows us to grow our program. And then also we have the new growth with the Center for Healthy Minds. That's, I know, like research specific. But yes, if you are only first generation or low income, one of those categories, you can still most likely qualify as an underrepresented student. So we would say just absolutely apply to our program, and we will review your application. And as a next question, is it mainly open to rising juniors? If you have enough credits, if you're going to be here, say for 2 summers, say if this is maybe your sophomore by year, so your second year as an undergraduate, but you have enough credits to apply to a program, and we see you as a strong candidate for graduate school, you're interested in research, you can go ahead and apply. We have students that have been here longer, and then we would want you to be in our summer program during your rising senior summer, so that you get that graduate preparation. But for the other summer, you can go to an external program. And in the past, our main objective is to make sure that you're well equipped in the research area and the professional development area when applying to graduate school. So we've never, discouraged a student from applying to an external research program, such as an REU, an SROP, some type of other research-based internship program over the summer, as long as it is research intensive and will benefit your graduate application, benefit your networking, and has the proper, say, GRE training. This year, we've been a little bit more flexible because we are online due to COVID. We're still in the virtual format, but going forward, all of our summer programming will most likely be in person. At least I hope so. Will be in person. Just kind of will need to be in Madison for those events. But we do have students who are opting out of the summer because they got into a great REU or SOP research program. So we will also ask that, what your plans are during the interview. So anything? So Sophia, yes, the summer component doesn't have to be with McNair. We strongly will encourage that, but of course you can apply to other research programs. So. Yes, Asian Pacific Islanders, to qualify, yes, you do need to be a low income and first gen, typically to meet the first criteria in order to be eligible. So again, if you have a strong case, put that in your personal statement. Again, we do have additional opportunities through the DDEA, so that's a housing division here at UW, to fund more students than we are allotted on our federal grant. So that allows us to grow our program. So I would highly encourage you to apply to our program, or any student that is in that category, because we would want to be able to serve them, and we could, we will look into that and try to make that happen. So we typically take in or serve 28 to up to, we're looking into this next year, up to 35 students per year. So it is a small, I should say that's a pretty small community compared to campus and all the students that we have here. So when we talk about building that community, being around a group of like-minded students, you'll be around 20 to 25 students in any given session. So you'll be able to build a strong cohort. About how many new applicants do you accept each year? So it depends on how many are graduating, but I would say on average it's been between 10 and 14. Do students that will be seniors in the fall not eligible to apply? As long as you will be here for a whole year. So if you apply this coming up fall and will graduate in 2022, so the end of 2022, is that correct? Yeah, so you'll apply fall 2021, you will be admitted. Your first semester will be spring 2021. You'll have that summer to prepare for graduate school, but say you're going to then graduate in December, you'll still be here during the fall. So we'll be here to help you navigate, yes, winter 22 graduate. We'll be here to help you navigate the application process. That would still make you eligible. You would be here for that calendar year. Again, we want to make sure that you're here during the summer and here during that graduate application process so that we can help guide you along that way. So can rising sophomores apply? Yes, if you have enough credits. If you have the 45 to be able to submit the application through WISH, that is a filter we have on there. And then in order to participate in the summer, you would need 60 credits. But if you're pretty early on, you're going to be here for 2 summers, that's not going to be an issue. So as long as you could hit that submit button at 45 credits, you can apply for the McNair Scholars Program. Any other questions? We have about 3 minutes. Oh, yes. Do we apply to any college partnered with McNair, or do they choose us? Like Posse. Oh, so not like Posse. So Posse is an undergraduate scholarship program. So here in McNair, you're not restricted to where you apply to graduate school. We even had students apply internationally. UW hasn't in a couple of years, but yes, I know here from other directors that some students do apply internationally for their graduate programs. So you can apply to any graduate program that you wish that is the best fit for you, your research needs, your career needs, your overall needs. What we do then is provide you with the correct paperwork so that you can apply or get that application waiver. So yeah, the McNair Scholars Program, even though we're this large network and we're partnered at a university, that does not mean that you need to apply to graduate school that currently has a McNair Scholars Program. So you can apply wherever you need to. Can a letter of recommendation come from a work manager? I wouldn't recommend it unless, we really want to see students or hear about students' potential to be a researcher and their academics. So although I wouldn't limit it, I would recommend you first look at faculty and those that can give it, testimonial on your academic experience, your professionalism, and your research experience. So he said yes. However, yeah, it'll still count as a letter, but make sure your other one is make sure you at least have one from a PhD level faculty member. Any other questions? Yes, great questions. Thank you, everyone. Okay, don't see any other hands. All righty. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming today, all of our guests for coming to learn about the McNair Scholars Program, our PAs and McNair Scholar. Thank you for showing up and contributing to our informational. All this information we provided, hopefully it will help guide our future McNair Scholars. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Hope to hear from you soon. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you need to. You can find us on the UW website and email us. Right? Thank you. Bye-bye.